Welcome, beloveds, to Soulfield Sunday. It's October 26th. It's hard to believe we are at the end of October. This year is almost coming to a close. And it's so wonderful to see you here with us, those who are here live. It's always a joy to see your faces as we begin. And I'm also so glad to have those of you with us who are joining in the eternal now. So we'll begin opening the field by lighting a candle. In the soul field work, we light a red candle if possible, but any color you have is fine. The lighting of the candle is both a joining of our hearts together, representing our light, our heart. And it's also the energetic of the red candle is sort of a communication to the energy field that we're really intending only what serves the highest good. Only what serves the highest good is welcome here. And all that serves the highest good of each one of us in this pure light, pure love is completely welcome here. And so as you come into the field, as you find yourself entering in and settling, take a moment, feel that connection to the space about a foot above the top of your head, the place where the portal is to the temple of divine perfection. And with the simplicity of your intention, just open that portal that goes to that beautiful, etheric, golden temple of light that is quite literally the energy recycling center for this universe. And you just allow it will just start to happen. You will feel or sense or see or know things just lifting off, lifting out of your body, out of the field, anything that you've picked up along the way, along the journey of life in these last couple weeks, anything that you're complete with, anything that's no longer serving your highest evolutionary trajectory and is really ready to go. We we are coming together into sacred space, and so we want to allow ourselves to be cleansed, and this is sort of like a little smudging, an energetic smudging. And we'll begin with our opening prayer. We come with grateful, reverent, and open hearts to drink from the deep well of our eternal nature. As we dive into the soul field together, we are held within a sacred and holy embrace by the source of all love, light, and grace. In this eternal now, we actively invoke our unique pathways to source and the beings of love light that support our divine evolving. We allow our mind, body, spirit to expand into the holy realms where magic and miracles are commonplace. As we minister to ourselves, we minister to one another and our family humanity. We recognize we are one in the holy wholeness. We allow all we do here today to ripple out through our lives as a living witness of divine grace for the benefit of all our relations. And so today we're blessed to have with us Ronnie as our sacred temple tender. And so you'll hear her voice throughout today. We don't have someone here who speaks Spanish, so we'll not speak our opening prayer in Spanish, but we're holding that sacred portal open, not just for Spanish, but for all the languages of our hearts, of our souls, of our lives. And just feeling your breath for a moment, feeling the energy of the prayer that we spoke. And just getting a sense of where you are today, like what is here with you? What are the qualities of the emotions, of the thoughts? Are there any intentions or desires? How is the physical body feeling? Just noticing what's here. And as you notice, as you make contact, invite all of that and all of you to come into this sacred now moment, to come into the sacred space, to come into the field of soul, into the soul field, to receive. This is our time together to receive and to be nourished. And today we're continuing our series on sacred trust, looking at essential encoding for a sovereign life. Essential encoding for a sovereign life. We're going to unpack that. As we begin to drop into the field, we'll calibrate our systems with our ear rub and or thymus thump with our affirmations. So we do affirmations in the soul field work by tapping on the thymus or rubbing, massaging around the earlobe to get the words that we're speaking literally into our biospiritual system. Talk about encoding. That's really what we're doing here. We're bringing the frequencies into the body. So when we rub at the earlobe, we're activating the meridian, the flows of energy through the body. We tap on the thymus or the sternum. We activate the thymus, which is a master gland that is in communication with the whole of the biospiritual system. And the thymus is really powerful for immune support. So if anyone's feeling at all under the weather, really try doing the affirmations, typing here, and letting those words get into the body. I am a divine creation.
I am a divine creation.
I love who I am and revere my unique path.
I love who I am and revere my unique path.
I joyfully experience the divine embrace always, in all ways.
I joyfully experience the divine embrace always, in all ways.
I deepen into sacred trust every day.
I deepen into sacred trust every day.
Remembering all things are divinely imbued, I actively amplify their grace.
Remembering all things are divinely imbued, I actively amplify their grace.
I am a divine creation.
I am a divine creation.
I love who I am and revere my unique path.
I love who I am and revere my unique path.
I joyfully experience the divine embrace always, in all ways.
I joyfully experience the divine embrace always, in all ways.
I deepen into sacred trust every day.
I deepen into sacred trust every day.
Remembering all things are divinely imbued, I actively amplify their grace.
Remembering all things are divinely imbued, I actively amplify their grace.
I am a divine creation.
I am a divine creation.
I love who I am and revere my unique path.
I love who I am and revere my unique path.
I joyfully experience the divine embrace always, in all ways.
I joyfully experience the divine embrace always, in all ways.
I deepen into sacred trust every day.
I deepen into sacred trust every day.
Remembering all things are divinely imbued, I actively amplify their grace.
Remembering all things are divinely imbued, I actively amplify their grace.
Hmm. As we move through our series, I don't know if you're noticing this, but I can feel as I'm saying the affirmations, I can feel that this is happening. And for sure, that last one is part of what we're working with today. Remembering all things are divinely imbued, I actively amplify their grace. This is part of the encoding. This is part of how we move into a sovereign life because sacred trust really sits at the crux between our Holy Communion and disillusionment, which we talked about last time, and or unknowing. And that's actually by design. It's not accidental that that's where sacred trust sits. We literally have codes throughout our biospiritual system, and mystics have known this for years in various different traditions. And certainly modern science is catching up a little bit in terms of these ways that we can see into the body, into the spirit, into the biofield, I mean. And that is that, like, these codes exist, including in our heart and our brain, that link us to source, that link us to the sacred, and literally generate the experience of connection with transcendent love. We could call that God, goddess, source. And when we have those connections to the transcendent love, the unconditional love, the transcendent grace, however you want to language that, when we have those moments, trust isn't a question, it just exists there. And so we have been given these receptors physically in our system and also energetically to plug us in by design. There's some beautiful research using functional MRIs, excuse me, coming out of Lisa Miller's lab. And one of the things that is being shown there is that when we have these moments that we might call existential depression or crisis or disillusionment, when we have these moments, and we all do, and there's one in particular they've studied, which is the one that happens for us in our growing sort of late teens, early 20s. It's a normal process to start questioning life. And what has been found is that people who have a spiritual connection in those moments, that they find their way through them with greater ease, etc. But the fascinating thing is that they actually grow part of a brain that people who don't have that experience don't have. So let's say I have, just like, I'm walking through life and I'm super spiritually connected and I have no disillusionment and no depression and I just live like that. I don't have this part in my brain. If I go through that kind of existential disillusionment experience, but I don't have spiritual connection, I don't have this part in my brain. But if I have a connection and I go through disillusionment, I literally grow more gray matter on the side of the frontal cortex. Like, I become supercharged. We become supercharged. So it's not just like uh anymore that we have to kind of go like, well, I think that's true. We have like physical evidence that that combination of our spiritual connection, our sacred trust, our communion, and our disillusionment actually create a way through life that is empowered beyond if we didn't have those experiences. So, how do we meet the disillusionment in a way that allows us to activate that, that actually creates an openness that invites in grace and that invites in transformational energy? So last week we talked about disillusionment and spiritual disillusionment. I gave you a list of questions. I'm going to put those in the chat thread again right now. I just feel compelled to do that. So let me just do this. And those of you who are here now, I invite you to copy them somewhere and stick them somewhere for yourself. I was having a conversation with one of our soul fielders, and they said, could you just give like a list of questions for life? Because really this is it, right? When these moments happen, we tend to go like, I don't understand why this is happening to me. What, I thought it was like this and it's not like that. And it's okay. That's our normal human reaction to things not happening the way we expect, or to our core beliefs being challenged by the way life is presenting itself. But these questions like, help me see what is mine to see, help me find my way back into trust and harmony, show me how to heal this pain, help me stay open to the sacred unfolding, even though or when I want to cut off. Bring me what I need to stay connected in this terror, in this fear, in this hardship. Teach me how to be with this. These sacred questions create an opening. And if it's by divine design, these times of disillusionment, and if it is true, and we think it is, that they were quite literally created to help us expand our spiritual connection, then grace has to be standing on the ready, wanting to come in, wanting to support us, wanting to bring in the sacred. But often we ask the wrong questions, or in our upset, we shut off. And then, there's some other pieces that happen, and we're not going to go into all of those today. But what I really want to go into is what it is. How do we encode in our system? How do we encode sacred trust in our system? And part of that is through commitment to our spiritual alignment with whatever life brings our way. So it's a choice. It's a choice to be committed to our spiritual alignment. What does that mean, to be committed to our spiritual alignment? It means several things. It means asking those kinds of questions, but it also means being with what comes up. It's like allowing life to bring you what it's bringing you, even though you want to rebel against it. Allowing the emotions that you have, the thoughts that you have, the reactions that you have, and understanding that those two are part of it. But we don't stop there. We couple that with something else, right? So the allowing is an essential piece, but then we have to couple it with being vigilant about our tendency to devolve into the space of victim and to feel at the mercy of what's happening, and instead intentionally open to source. So it's the allowing and it's the opening, it's the leaning in, because that's where divine innovation happens. That's where divine guidance comes from. That's where the strength to meet something comes from. I was at a talk. A client of mine is a motivational speaker, and he happened to be speaking in town, so I got to go listen to him speak. And he mentioned something really powerful, that he was meeting something in life at one point, um, and he felt like, I just can't do it. And he called a good friend, and the friend said, I guarantee you have more than you need to meet this thing that life is giving you. And this is true, but in those moments, we don't feel it. Kind of makes me cry thinking about some of those moments in my own life where I just feel like I don't know how, I can't possibly do this. Those experiences, those thoughts, those feelings, on a certain level, they're accurate because they're meant to cause us to go, okay, show me, guide me, lead me. They're meant to cause us to turn our hearts and our lives over to soul, into the arms of the divine. And so people sometimes go there without the allowing. And we could call that maybe spiritual bypassing, or we could call that denial. But the both, when we're doing the both, this starts to wake up that coding that's in us. and wake up the sacred support that's like waiting. Our guides, our guardians, our angels, Mother, Father, God is like there going, I want to help you. I had this experience. I'm sure some of you have had this experience. There's a little spider this morning, and it was trying so hard to get somewhere and it wasn't getting there. And like on the other side of where it was going to not get was a bath full of water. And so I decided, like, I'll just go like help it a little bit so it doesn't fall into the water. And I felt like, okay, I'm just like doing this good thing. And then it freaked out because it wasn't liking what was happening. It was disillusioned in the moment and it went, "Oh," and it fell into the water anyway. So I quickly get it out of the water and it was done. Like it couldn't survive the water. And so I just had this chuckle. I was sad and thanked the spider. And I had this chuckle. I'm like, this must be how our angels and our guides and the source of love feel when those moments happen. Like, I'm trying to get there. I'm working so hard at it. And spirit's like, here, let me just like give you this little help. And we freak out instead and fall in the water. I was like, okay, so thank you. Thank you, Spider, for, this very clear image. It's like, this is this thing. If we stay just in the upset and in the not, it's not going my way, and we don't couple it with that commitment for spiritual alignment that says, no matter, even though I don't want to, even though I don't like it, I'm going to open my hands because I know it's imbued with grace. And I'm going to say, what is this for me? What is this asking of me? How can I meet it? Right? How is this part of the divine plan for my life? I've had something come up recently in my life where I was really rebelling. I was like, no, I wanted to spend my time and my energy and whatever over there. And this is not what I want to be doing. I don't think this is what I should be doing. And, I got very like self-righteous about it. And then I remembered and I stayed true to my commitment. And I now see how this is not only not an accident, but is actually something that is causing sacred innovation that is going to be a huge support, not just to me and to my family, but as it will ripple out. And sometimes we don't get to see it that quickly, right? Sometimes it takes a while. This was a blessing. But I believe in my experience, we see it quicker and quicker. We understand where the redemption is in the experience of the pain body, of the disillusionment, quicker and quicker as we get this encoded into our system. Because we then are moving through life, even whatever shows up, with a flow of sacred trust. So that when disillusionment arises, we are not pulled down so far. And or if we are, we still have one hand over there in the grace, knowing. We know. And so in that place that we know, we hook ourselves on there and we slowly pull ourselves out of the hole so that we can really be over here with the open hands and the open arms and the open heart and the open mind that leans in to the sacred unfolding. That space encodes our system every time we do that. And in this day and age where so much is vying for our consciousness, so much is asking for us to live in fear and therefore be easily manipulated and controlled, it's more and more and more essential that we have sacred trust encoded, because then we lead a life of sovereignty. We are not reacting and responding to the freak out. We're listening. We're coming into right relationship. We're letting the soul guide the journey rather than the collective consciousness, rather than whatever panic might be happening with that one person in your life. Our soul sovereignty literally depends on this, on how we meet disillusionment and life not going the way we expect, and how agile we become in those moments. And our agility is strengthened when we practice this every day with the little things, when we stay in that commitment to spiritual alignment. And we all know what that is. You know when you're in spiritual alignment, and you know when you're, devolving into some other misaligned place, right? We know it, we feel it. When we're aligned spiritually, we become walking through the most treacherous place, and we can feel some strength in there. We can feel our receptivity to grace. We can see the beauty even in the tragedy. We know when we're in alignment, and we know when we're not. It feels different. When we're in alignment, we feel alive and vibrant and vital, even though what we're with may be really challenging. Even though what we're with may be devitalizing on the level of the physical, let's say. I had this experience, some of you know, when in 2010 I had a really, really significant kidney infection, had to have emergency surgery. And the nurses and I were chatting it up before I went into the surgery. And when I came out, they were like, "Oh my gosh, you're not green anymore." I'm like, "Green?" They're like, "Yeah, you were green." And they were like, "But we've never seen anybody like just like you were you were enlightening us. You were like we were sitting being ministered to by you. How did you do that?" Right. So physically devitalized to the extent that like my life was threatened, but spiritually vitalized. And so we practice this in the simpler moments so that in the bigger moments, it's just solid. It's just there. And it doesn't mean we don't have a moment or lots of them. It usually looks like this. We cycle through all the upsets, where I'm okay, I'm not okay, I'm okay, I'm not okay, I'm okay, I'm not okay. But if we track that, it's going like this, more and more and more and more and more and more and more settled in the sacred. More and more. And the moments of not okay, they're information for us. So I'm going to pause the recording, and I'm going to bring us into a little chat together. For those of you who are watching in the eternal now, I want to invite you to just take a moment. We're going to talk about this, those of us who are live. Just take a moment and notice a time when you really were able, you really did like commit to your spiritual alignment in the midst of disillusionment. And just notice the process. Notice how it was. Just coming back after having the blessing of getting to have a little connection live with those here, and just wanting to bring back in a couple themes that came up. And that is one is the theme of how looking for the beauty, looking for the grace, we see it, it gets revealed to us. How the practice of our spirituality in the smaller times and in the bigger times really supports us when life brings us what we don't want, because that sacred is encoded in us. And that's exactly what we're talking about here today, is that the sacred trust gets encoded in, and so it sits right next to the upset. And if we intend, if we're committed to our spiritual alignment, it gets to be louder. So it's not that we deny the upset. It's just that it gets to be louder and it gets to be the energy guiding. And that's where our sovereignty is. That's where a kind of soul level equanimity runs through our life. And so we are going to go into meditation today. And in the meditation, there is both the invocation of a singular flame. This flame is the flame of divine reunion. And it's really about helping to unite us back into the sacred connection with all the parts of ourselves and with Source, any places where we have inadvertently become disconnected. This flame is a beautiful, sort of shimmery, silvery, ocean after sunset blue kind of gray light. We're going to work with some places in the bio spiritual system. And I just want to show you and speak to them briefly so that when we go into meditation, you're not trying to figure out. So one place is going to be right, not at the crown, but just behind it. Sort of if you drew a line through your chin to the top of your head, there's an angle there, and it's right here. And this space, when we go into it, it'll start to kind of tingle open. And we're going to use it as a way to let our consciousness literally enter into the body. And we're going to come into the space between, if this is the skull, this is the outer layer of the skull, the inner layer of the skull, and this is the brain. We're going to come into the space in between. And I'll guide us into that meditation. And we're going to activate our own sacred energy there with intention to create spaciousness, to literally amplify those sacred structures that are there in the brain, the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, the there's a language I'm looking for. I'm losing it. Well, anyway, the sacred places in the brain, the crystalline structure. There we go. The bioluminescent crystalline structure there. And so we're going to do that together. And I want to just invite you for this meditation. It's okay to be lying down, but I think it's ideal for this one, if you can, to be sitting up. So I'm going to invite you to find a position where the body, if it's fine to lay down, like if you need to be laying down, that's fine. If you feel guided to lay down, you trust your guidance, you trust that soul wisdom. But for those who feel like, oh, I'm game for whatever, go ahead and find yourself a seated position. And you could be seated just in a way or lying in a way that allows the spine to be sort of stacked nicely. And just feel a breath and an elongation, not muscularly, but just energetically through the spine. And feel yourself coming more and more into sacred presence in the body temple, in this eternal now moment. And as you come into presence in the body temple, feel yourself acknowledging the sacredness of this body, of this bio-spiritual system. You hear me use that language a lot, bio-spiritual system, because it's really what it is. And we've gotten a little over-focused on the biology part as a species and a little under-focused on the fact that this is a bio-spiritual system, not a spiritual biosystem, but it's a spiritual system. And so just coming into sacred remembrance of that, coming into the blessing of our shared communion, Feeling your mouth rest slightly open, just subtly. It doesn't have to be a gape. Just the lips are not pursed. The jaw is not clenched. The teeth are loose and resting. The tongue is loose and resting. And there's an easy breath. And in the breathing, you come into the remembrance that this breath is sacred. And the intention that as you draw a breath, that you receive grace, that you receive the divine breath of life, the prana, that uplifts and literally animates this bio-spiritual system. And you might feel that place towards the back, top of the head that we talked about. It might have a little tingle or a little heaviness, or maybe even a slight sensation of discomfort. It's ready, it's awaiting, it's calling you there. And so you bring your breath and your presence there. You bring all of your consciousness there. And you imagine that your consciousness, your presence, becomes like a little point of awareness. And that point of awareness can enter into the head right there. It goes through the layers of the skull and finds itself resting in this sort of gel-like watery substance. It's a fluid, a jelly-like fluid. When you actually let yourself rest there. And as you do, you start to feel the connection with all of this fluid, the cerebral spinal fluid. It's like you become diffuse throughout the skull, riding between the skull and the brain. And as you're making that connection, you might feel little places of tension pop up, and you just breathe and they will soften. When we enter into this space, we often are shown where the tension is. We can feel it and sense it. And with the simplicity of intention, bring your soul light into this fluid structure that your consciousness is residing in. It has this quality of becoming bioluminescent. Those of you who have had the privilege of seeing the ocean at certain times of algae bloom have seen as the sun is setting and in the night that it literally lights up like it's electrical. And that's what we're doing with our soul light in this fluid. We're literally activating the bioluminescence. And so as this fluid moves and creates a loosening of tension in the skull and in the head, it's sort of got this beautiful luminescent quality, and it feels good. With the simplicity of your intention, let the cranial plates, the actual plates that make up the skull, let them loosen and open. creating more space for this fluid to move, loosening the tension in the head. That's it. Beautiful work, everyone. Feel yourself moving with this fluid to the front of the brain, to a little gland that sits behind the third eye inside the brain. It's like you're bringing that bioluminescent fluid to the pineal gland. It's a little cone shaped gland there. And as you bring that fluid, that pineal gland starts to glow this golden light, like honey. And it actually starts to move this honey like substance into that bioluminescent fluid. And that travels and washes over the top of the brain toward the back of the brain and flows into the back of the brain at about the same level and finds the pituitary gland. And that honey and bioluminescent light start to merge with that sacred place. You don't have to know exactly where it is. You just intend it, and it is so. This one sits a little bit more toward the center back of the head. And it starts to release this beautiful, it starts to glow white light. And it starts to release this beautiful, sort of milky like substance that flows into that bioluminescence that's already laced with honey like fluid. And now you've got this sort of milk and honey light flowing in the bioluminescence of the head. And that starts to flow down the spine like a very gentle little drip. You can feel it at the very top base of skull. This messenger of light, fluid light, starts to flow through the cervical spine, waking it up. You can feel it. It's like it gets sparked alive down into the thoracic spine, the upper part of the back, behind the heart, behind the belly, through those vertebrae down behind the waist into the lumbar spine. Ooh, all the way down the lumbar spine into the sacrum, and then it hits the tip of the tailbone, and you can feel it. It's like a little electrical moment. And then the energy starts to cycle more quickly up and down the spine. We call forth the flame of divine reunion, the flame that is beautiful, silvery, blue light, sparkling like the ocean just after sunset. And that light starts to flow in, spiral in through the top of the head. And it flows into that fluid. that surrounds your brain and is cycling up and down the spine. It flows into the pituitary and pineal glands. Another layer of remembering, connecting you to all the parts of yourself and to the very source of life, viscerally waking up the encoding in the biospiritual system. And you can feel the grace of all of this. You can feel the sacredness of this body. You remember that you are intimately twined with the source of all love, light, beauty. And you breathe in that transcendence. You let it wash beyond the spine into the whole of your body, ministering especially to the places that need it. And it washes even beyond your body into the field around you, into the mental and emotional bodies, into the etheric body. And in this divine space of communion, of reunion, if you'd like, you can bring into awareness any places where you currently have some small or big disillusionment, disappointment. And you can just ask the question, how is this part of the divine plan for my life? Where is the sacred wholeness, the redemption in this? And as you continue to receive and allow and listen, we'll play our song for this series.
Warm water falling from the sky. Warm wet water making rainbows in our eyes. In this skin and home, movement of surprise. Isn't it good to know that it's alright? Free will, moving how we like. Free will, fall apart and cry. Animal and present, we let out wild cry. the words I need not say. Inner compass, inner map, you to guide me on my way. And I know it's alright. Everything is alright. All of it is alright. Every bit is alright. Oh, ain't it good to know that it's alright?
Just letting our song play for a little while today in the interest of time. Inviting you to gently find your way back. Just notice. Ronnie's going to read our announcements, and as she does, just um, notice the difference in how you're feeling right now.
We are so grateful for your amplification of our collective soul field. Thank you for being with us. Links to our website is soulfield.org, soulfield.org. And you can get on our phone chat thread and send Luminaria a text to get added. And we deeply appreciate your donations and tithing. Without your generosity, Soul Field would simply not be possible. Deep bows to those of you who continue to make Soul Field a regular part of your spiritual gift giving. We are thrilled to have many of you joining us in the eternal now via recording. Please remember to like and comment on our videos and follow our YouTube channel. Thank you in advance for helping others find us. Our next live meditation is Wednesday, November 5th. And our next Soulfield experience is Sunday, November 19th. For those of you that are joining us live, there's links here in the chat thread for you.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. So we're going to move to close the soul field today, and just wanting to echo what Ronnie said, just appreciating you all so much for being here, so much for sharing. Please feel free to invite anybody that you think would really be nourished by what we're doing here in the soul field, and just holding you all in love and light always. And so we are deeply grateful to have experienced miraculous communion with our holy wholeness in the soul field. We wholeheartedly receive the upliftment of one another's communion and blessed soul light. As we close this formal gathering, we each in our own way will continue dwelling in the soul field and supporting our collective evolution. With deep gratitude, we thank one another and all our angels, guides, and guardians. Remembering as we minister to ourselves, we uplift one another. We encourage the magic we co-created to ripple out to all our relations for the benefit of all beings. Blowing out our candle, closing our formal circle for now, and wishing you all a beautiful several weeks. Hopefully I'll see you live on Wednesday at 5:10 for our meditation.